In today's session, I will walk you through the entire process of building a Blazing Fast search user interface using TypeSense. It will be a really simple UI, but I hope that this will be enough to get the fundamental concepts of TypeSense through. I would like to begin today's session by stating what TypeSense actually is. So according to their About Us or About page, TypeSense is an open source typo-tolerant search engine that is optimized for instant sub 50 millisecond searches while providing an intuitive developer experience. So it's something on the like of Algolia or Elasticsearch, but completely free and open source. It's a lot easier to work with, and it can let you build functional search user interfaces in no time. So it not only improves the experience for your users, but also you as a developer. So when working with TypeSense or building an app powered by TypeSense, this is the abstract architecture here. Okay, so assuming that you want to build an online bookshop where people can come search for books and then buy them. So definitely you will have some sort of front end. It can be a React app, a Vue app, or maybe a Flutter application. So it will have a backend, the bookshop. This can be anything. This can be a Node.js API or maybe a Laravel API or anything that you fancy these days. And then there will be TypeSense running as a separate entity on your server or another server. And it's sort of like the REST API you have here, but dedicatedly for searching data. So how it works is, of course, in your bookshop API database, you will have a list of books, title of books, publication year, the authors, and things like that. So what you will have to do, you will have to feed that set of data to TypeSense. So TypeSense will record everything about your books in a sort of NoSQL database. So in the TypeSense database, there are collections and there are documents. So if you create a collection for your books, so each book will be a document inside that collection. So if you have worked with database systems like MongoDB before, this should be very easy to understand for you. But if you are from a relational database management system background, in that case, a collection is equivalent to a table and a document is equivalent to a row in those tables. Okay, so that's an overview of the architecture. It will become much clearer once we get to the programming part and actually build out an application. So when you want to build an UI powered by TypeSense, there are 4 distinct steps to build that. Of course, there will be more, but these 4 you have to take. So you will have to first set up TypeSense either in your server or in another server. There are other options as well that I will demonstrate now. Then you will have to index your data. Indexing means feeding the data you want to search to TypeSense. So in our example of a bookshop, we will have to index the entire catalog of our books into TypeSense's databases. So TypeSense knows what people may ask for, okay? Then you will have to build an UI, a search UI. It can be a search bar, it can be a single page application, it can be anything you want, okay? Finally, you will be able to search. So I already have a project set up for today's webinar. So this link is already in my article on Aviel on the same topic. So you can just go ahead and find this repository. Once you're in the repository, inside the webinar branch, you can find the code I'll be showing today, okay? Okay, so let's begin. Throughout the entire session, I will heavily use the TypeSense documentation because at the end of the day, that's all you have got. When you are working alone, you will have to come back to this documentation very frequently. So I wanted to show you how I use this documentation. Okay, so the first step is to install TypeSense. So there are multiple ways of installing TypeSense. It's written in C++ and it comes as a compiled binary. So either you can download that binary and run that as a service on your Linux or Mac or whatever your machine runs on, or you can use Docker to use the official TypeSense image and spin up a TypeSense server. So in today's demo, we'll obviously use the Docker route because I don't know what platform you are on, and Docker kind of unifies all the platforms. Okay. So first, make sure you have Docker installed and running on your system. Then, okay, I'm using WSL on Windows 11 here. So the first step is to pulling the TypeSense image. So I'll just shamelessly copy this line from here and put it on my terminal. So if you are familiar with Docker, you may know that this step is actually optional. If you do not pull the TypeSense image and try to spin up a container anyway, Docker will automatically pull the image from Docker Hub. Okay, so I'll do this anyway. So I actually have the image pulled on my system already, so it should be pretty quick. But depending on your internet speed, it may take some time. Okay, so the version is 0.21.0. Now that we have the image pulled to our local system, we are ready to spin up a server. So we'll navigate to start here, and here is the entire command to start TypeSense. Okay, so I will just type in the command and I will explain what each of the part does in this command. Okay, so first we will start with docker container run, and I actually have the command written already here. Okay, so I'll just look at that. Okay, so docker container run, then we will have to publish a port. Don't worry, I will explain why we are doing this. 818.0.8. So what happens is that TypeSense runs as a service inside the container on port 8108. So if you want to talk to TypeSense, you will have to talk to port 8108. So the publish option to docker container run command actually maps 8108 from inside the container to 8108 on my local machine, making the server accessible from outside the container. Otherwise, containers are completely isolated environments in Docker. So next, I will add the detach option. If I don't add the detach option, what I will have to do is I will have to keep my terminal running here, and it's a bit cumbersome. So running it in detached mode lets me run the container in the background. Next, I will have to declare a volume. So I have already said that TypeSense stores its data in a NoSQL kind of document-based format. So what it does is it actually persists the data within a directory inside the container. Now the problem is that containers are ephemeral in nature. They can die anytime, any moment, and they can be lost. So if that ever happens, we will lose all our index data as well. So a good thing to do is map the data from inside the container to an outside directory, or maybe a separate volume as well. Now all these jargons that I'm saying, volumes and mapping data, it's all related to Docker. So if you are if it seems unfamiliar to you, don't worry at all. You can just go ahead and learn Docker and you will be familiar with all of this. So I will declare a volume here. I already have created a folder on my local machine. So home Shovik, which is my nickname, then TypeSense and data. and I will map this host directory to data inside the container. So this part here will instruct Docker to find anything that's inside this folder from the container and put it inside this directory, home, Shovik, TypeSense, data. Okay. Finally, I will have to declare the data directory for the container. That's data dir/data. Now, if you want to store the data in some other directory, maybe called I don't know, TypeSense data, then you will also have to update this part here, because this is what you are calling the data directory inside the container, so you have to update it here. So one thing that you may do is you can put this data dir first and with this later. Okay. I missed something. I missed the image part here. So I have to have the image. Okay. So this is the name of the image that we pulled a few moments ago. And finally, the last piece of data we need is an API key. Now, the API key is like a password to your server. Whenever you want to talk to the TypeSense server for searching data, you will have to provide this API key. Otherwise, the TypeSense server will not accept your request at all. So that's pretty much it. You can just copy the command from the README in this repository here. I'll share the links in the chats a moment later. Okay, so I'm hitting enter. So seems like my container is now running. So let's check it out if it's running or not. So I will use another Docker command, Docker container ls, and it's not running at all. Yeah, it exited a few seconds ago. Maybe I did something wrong. So I'll just copy this from here and try to. Yeah, now it's running. Maybe I made some typo somewhere, but it's fine. You can always copy. Now, to make sure that the server is ready for request, we have to make a health check. So I'm going back to TypeSense documentation here, and from the left, I will navigate to health check. So as you can see, if I make a request to /health, TypeSense will actually let me know if it's healthy or not. Okay, so I will use Postman for that. So I've already prepared a collection here, and you can find this collection in my repository as well. So the host here is actually localhost 8108, on which our TypeSense server is running. You have already seen that I have published 8108 from inside the container to my local host. So this is where I can talk to TypeSense. Okay, so I'll make a GET request to /health and check if it's working fine or not. Yeah, it says okay, true, which means that TypeSense is actually running and just ready to answer our queries. Okay. The next step is indexing data. Now, depending on your project, there are multiple ways to index data. You can either use one of the client libraries, or you can actually index the data from server side. It really depends on what you are building and how your application is running. As an example, let's say you are working on a brand new project and you want to use TypeSense in there. So what you can do is on your server side, when you are creating a new book data, you can index that to TypeSense immediately. Or in cases where you are trying to integrate TypeSense to an old project, in that case, you will have to take the entire data set from your existing server and feed it to TypeSense. Okay, so I will show you how you can do that using the client library, but there are multiple ways of doing that, and I may write articles on those in the future. Okay, so let's come to the client part now. So what is a client in the context of TypeSense? Well, I have already shown you that you can use something like Postman or any HTTP library such as Axios to talk to TypeSense. But it can be a little bit cumbersome in places where you are really fine-tuning your search, and there are a lot of request parameters. For example, if I go to the weighted search example here, as you can see, there are a lot of query parameters, and it can be a bit cumbersome to maintain sometimes. So what these client libraries do is that they do the heavy lifting of sending the request to TypeSense, and they let you write JavaScript code or PHP code that will in turn be turned into a request and sent off to TypeSense. I'll just demonstrate how that works. So in this demonstration, I will use the JavaScript library. Let's see how we can install that. So yeah, the documentation is really good here again. So you can just use npm install save TypeSense. This will install the TypeSense client library, and then you can install Babel runtime, which is a peer dependency for the TypeSense client library. Now in my project here, I have already installed TypeSense, as you can see here, TypeSense, and I have also installed Babel runtime. So I will not reinstall them. And the project here, this is a simple Vue.js project with a simple card component. I will demonstrate all of this later. Let's focus on the data indexing part right now. So here is TypeSense and here is Babel runtime. And if you are working on a brand new project, you will have to install them manually from by using these commands from the documentation. Now going forward, inside the data directory, I have a books.jsonl file. Well, this is a data set from TypeSense themselves. If I go to the documentation and I go to the walkthroughs part inside building a search application, you can download the sample data set from here. To follow along, download this small data set that we have put together for this walkthrough. So I will use that data set for my demonstration as well. So what we are getting inside this books.jsonl file is information about almost 10,000 books. It's actually 9979, so almost 10,000 books. And each line in this book, in this file, represents a book. Okay, so the first one, as you can see, represents the Hunger Games. Then you can see the array where for the authors, Suzanne Collins. Then there is the published year, there is an ID, average rating, and all of those things. Okay, so this is our data set. Now in a real life scenario, you won't have a JSONL file like this. Rather you will have some sort of database, maybe MySQL, Oracle, MongoDB, something like that. So you will have to actually program a script to aggregate all the data from your current database and feed it to TypeSense. So I will show you an example of such an indexer script right now, we will work with this JSONL file. Okay, so yeah, I'm opening indexer.js. Am I going a little fast or is it all right? Just please let me know. Okay, I'm taking that as a green signal. So This is the file I have here for indexing the data, and actually it's a slightly modified version of the script you can find on the documentation. Okay, so yeah, this one that starts from here and goes all the way through until here. So I have slightly modified this script to make it work properly.